Before I begin this semi-rant, let me make it clear that Doctor Strange looks great, the advance reviews have been highly positive, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I'm just voicing my misgivings about a certain aspect in the trailers. When former neurosurgeon Stephen Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, experiences reality-bending magic and says,
"This doesn't make any sense,"
the Ancient One, Tilda Swinton, responds with,
"Not everything does. Not everything has to."
Granted, I'm not that into fantasy, but the Ancient One's statement really rubbed me the wrong way. Effectively, everything makes sense, or if it physically exists in the universe and operates according to natural laws and systems, then it has the potential to make sense. I don't like citing him because of how much of a conceited, greedy, exploitative dick he was, but Thomas Edison still once pertinently said, "We don't know 1/10 of 1% of anything." This is true. We've still just barely scratched the surface of the universe, and there is so much we have yet to discover about the world and ourselves. We still haven't developed a full, confirmed, unified field theory that unites classical gravity with the quantum forces of electromagnetism and strong and weak nuclear, with the main contenders being string theory and quantum gravity. Going back to Strange's profession, we've amassed much practical knowledge about the glands, hormones, and neural circuitry of the brain, but we still don't completely know what consciousness is or how it's produced. The unified field theory is the holy grail of modern physics, but once we find it, another challenge is bound to present itself. There are answers we still seek, questions we haven't posed yet, things we don't know, and there are some things we may never have the cognitive capacity to understand. I don't really understand some branches of mathematics, but I know they can be understood as other people do. But everything that exists is understandable, even if we can't now or may never understand it. So, to an extent, I agree with the Ancient One's assertion that not everything makes sense, as we have not made sense out of everything. But her follow-up statement about how not everything has to make sense is very wrong in my opinion, especially in the context of the movie. My favorite use of magic involves it operating under rules, making it more like a scientific force of nature. Franchises such as Harry Potter, The Worst Witch, The Null, and Dungeons & Dragons delve into the mechanics of magic and feature precise rituals, formulae, and terms of operation, or, in the case of the metaphysical force in Star Wars, a quantifiable biological source in midichlorians. This is partly why I loved Charlie Jane Anders' debut novel All the Birds in the Sky so much. Not only does it have evocative prose, intimate character insights, subtly woven humor, and brilliantly structured plot threads, it's also a beautiful convergence of science fiction and fantasy. As the science nerd and the witch become uneasy friends, split apart, reunite, and ultimately see their respective sides warring against each other, science and magic are both portrayed as having limits, protocols, and ordered systems. You can easily explain magic and retain its extraordinary potential. To some degree, not everything has to make sense. Our brains can only hold so much information, and some truths are either too distressing or, conversely, too boring to be worth our time. But in order to study magic, or the arcane arts, it needs to make sense for you to learn it, practice it, and deliver it. How can you learn magic if it doesn't make sense? How could Strange learn neurosurgery, or anything, if it doesn't make sense? Things need to make sense if you're going to learn them, and that includes magic. So, the Ancient One is right about not everything making sense, which is a Socratic acceptance of the limits of knowledge, but wrong about not everything having to make sense, at least in the context of the magic she is teaching Strange.
How did you become a doctor?
Study and practice. Here's the bit.
What do you think? Let me know. Cheers.